DJs, this is how you set up a digital mixer. Digital mixers are really cool. The amount of control that you have, along with the plethora of features, makes them worth every single penny. The biggest issue with switching from an analog mixer to a digital mixer is the learning curve. So today, I'm going to show you how I set up and configure my QSC TouchMix 8. The first thing I like to set up is the ability to control the mixer using the iPad app. I find the iPad app to be the easiest, most convenient way to use the mixer. Not that the built-in touchscreen is bad, it's really not. I just have old eyes, and the iPad's easier for me to see. So there are three ways to get this to work. The first one is using the TouchMix's USB to Wi-Fi adapter to create its own network. To do this, press the menu button and then press Network. Here you have the option to connect to an already existing network or create your own. So select Create Network, and then in the top left-hand corner of the screen, you're going to see an area where you can name your mixer. Go ahead and name it now. Then you're going to want to set a password. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to put my real password on the screen for the world to see, but make sure when you make one that it's a secure password. Next, hit apply and voila! You've just created a network using your TouchMix. Now, all you have to do is go to your iPad, click on Settings, click on Wi-Fi, and you'll see your mixer as an option in the Wi-Fi settings. You're going to want to connect to the Wi-Fi, so select that Wi-Fi, put the password in that you just created, and now you are attached via the network that the TouchMix has created, but you're not able to control just yet. What you're going to want to do next is press the menu button again, and then select Remote Control. When you select Remote Control, a list of available controls load up on the screen. Make sure you select your iPad that you're using and allow it full access. Press Save, and now you're able to use your iPad to control your TouchMix. Now, this is the easiest way of controlling your iPad with the TouchMix, but if I'm being completely honest with you, it's not the best. See, the USB to Wi-Fi adapter that the TouchMix comes with isn't that great. So if you're in a big room or you're walking far away, or even if you're close to it, it can sometimes drop out and lose signal. Now there is a way to fix this, and we'll talk about that right now. The next way to connect your iPad to a TouchMix with a better signal is to use a wireless router. Now, this solution costs a little bit more cheddar, but it's the best way to get a good connection from your iPad to your TouchMix. To do this, you have to buy a Wi-Fi router and configure it. You also want to make sure that when you're buying a Wi-Fi router, that you have one with Ethernet ports and a really good coverage area. I'll put a link to the one I use down below. You're also going to need a USB to Ethernet adapter, and I'll link that below too. Now that you have your wireless router configured and ready to go, you're going to go back to the menu on your TouchMix and go back into network settings. In the top right-hand corner, you're going to see that it says wired or wireless. You're going to want to make sure you select wired. On this screen, you're going to see that you have the choice between a dynamic or a static IP address. For the sake of simplicity, just do the auto IP addressing. Next, you're going to want to plug in your USB to Ethernet adapter and then connect that adapter with an Ethernet cable to an available Ethernet port on your router. You're going to want to give the TouchMix a few minutes to figure itself out with the network, get an IP address, and get itself all straightened out. But once you do, all you have to do is repeat the same process like you were connecting to the TouchMix, making its own network. Go to your Wi-Fi on your iPad, find the router that you just set up, and connect to it. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you go into the remote control settings and set your app to have full access to the mixer. But now you have complete control over your TouchMix using a wireless router, which means you get better signal and the chances of a dropout are slim to none.
Yes! Hell yeah!
The last way to access your TouchMix using your iPad is to connect to an already existing network. So if you find yourself at a venue with really good Wi-Fi, or maybe your Wi-Fi dongle just isn't working and you don't want to invest into a router, if you go to an area with a wireless network, you can connect your TouchMix to that network and it will be visible to your iPad over that network as long as your iPad is connected to the same network. Let's talk about how to set this up. All right, to do this, you're going to go back to your network settings in the TouchMix and you're going to make sure that the wireless option is selected. In the wireless options, you'll be able to see connect to an existing network. Go ahead and press on that. You're gonna see a bunch of stuff on the screen, but the thing you wanna focus on is the scan button that's right in line with the network SSID. Press scan and a list of available networks are gonna pop up. Now it's time to select the network that you wanna use. Keep in mind that you generally wanna stay away from guest networks, as sometimes guest networks have capture portals where you have to put in login credentials in order to attach to the network, and the TouchMix just isn't capable of doing that.
Whack.
So you're always going to want to make sure you connect to a network that has a password and doesn't require any type of portal to log in. So you found your network, you press it, put the password in, and then you have to select what type of security that network is running. Generally, leaving it on WPA2 is okay, as most networks are WPA2 security. However, if you find that it's not working, go ahead and try and change that to WPA AES plus TKIP. One of those two security types should work for you. Once your TouchMix is connected to that network, now all you have to do is go into your Wi-Fi settings on your iPad and connect to the same network. Boom! Your TouchMix is now visible over the existing network. Now that we set up remote control, it's time to look at the connections of the mixer. On the QSC TouchMix 8, you have 8 XLR inputs and 2 1/4-inch stereo inputs. The first 4 XLR inputs are XLR 1/4-inch combos, with the first 2 channels having the ability to use high Z. So if you wanted to use an instrument, you would want to use channels 1 or 2. Every channel has access to an EQ, a gate, a compressor, effects, aux sends, and a general setup tab. Now that we understand our connections, where we want to connect things to, you're going to want to name your inputs. Obviously, naming inputs makes it easier for everybody to use this mixer, especially if you have somebody helping you who maybe isn't super proficient with mixers. Having your inputs labeled will definitely help. To do so, you're going to want to tap on Main Mix on the home screen. On top of each individual channel, you're going to see the word in with a number following. You're going to want to press where it says in and the number. When you do that, it's going to bring you to the channel's settings menu. The rightmost option says setup. You're going to want to click that. And then in the top left-hand corner is where you name your channel. So if this is a handheld mic, or if you do weddings like I do and you have a mic specifically for toast, it could be a toast mic. You want to label your DJ ins. Whatever that channel is going to be, you can set the name there. I also like to name my aux channels so I know which one is doing what, and it's essentially the same process. The only thing you have to do is select the aux channel bank that you want to name. When you press the aux channel, you go all the way to the master volume fader of that aux channel and press it and go to the setup option, and there you can name that aux channel. The one thing you probably noticed when I was naming things is I have 2 DJ in channels. The reason is I run dual XLRs from my main mixer to my external mixer, and on my analog mixer, I would always use an adapter to bring that stereo signal into a mono signal to go to one channel. But with the QSC TouchMix 8, you don't have to do that. The TouchMix has the ability to link channels so that volume adjustments happen at the same time on both channels. Let me show you how to do that. Every pair of channels from channels 1 through 8 can be linked. The way to do that is you go to your channel settings and click setup. At the top in the center of the screen, you're going to see the option to link. Go ahead and press link. Go back to your main mix and you're done. If you look, channel 7 and 8 are linked on my mixer, so the volume gets controlled on both channels using one slider. Now, it doesn't have to be channel 7 and 8. It can be 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, or 7 and 8. Now that you have everything labeled, you can connect everything. Once you have everything connected, you want to make sure you set your gains using the physical trib knobs on the mixer. And if you're not too sure how to properly set your gains, watch this video right here. Next, I want to go over the anti-feedback feature on the TouchMix. This is my absolute favorite feature on this unit. The way you get to it is you go back to your main mix panel and go to your main output volume control and go into its settings. The same way you would go into a channel setting is the way you're going to get into the main outputs setting. When you click on main, the settings menu will open up and you're going to see a section for anti-feedback. You're going to press anti-feedback and a screen's going to pop up with a graph. Now, you have the option of manually killing your feedback. By letting your microphone feedback, the mixer will pick up on it and you can manually kill that frequency. Or you can just run the wizard. Run the wizard. To use the feedback wizard, you're going to press on Feedback Wizard. You're also going to make sure that you have all of your volumes set to where they're going to be for your performance. Once you have all those volumes set, you're then going to want to mute everything. The next step is to take your microphones and put them in place where they're going to be used, whether that's at your DJ setup, a head table for toasts, wherever those mics are going to be. You want to make sure they're set up in the correct spot. Next, you're going to unmute your mic channels and your main output channel. At this point, you're going to want to raise the master volume up until you hear feedback. Once you hear that feedback, pull it back just a little bit so the feedback stops. At this point, you can now press the anti-feedback wizard and hit start. The master volume is going to slowly creep up until feedback happens. Once the mixer identifies that feedback, it's going to kill it. Now, it's going to do this for all the frequencies. It's a very loud and very annoying process, so make sure that if you're in a venue and there's other people working, that you give them the heads up that a lot of noise is about to come through these speakers, because it can be a little obnoxious. So once the unit goes through all the frequencies and it kills everything that it needs to kill, you are 100% good to go. Now keep in mind, this isn't something that you do and then forget about it. This is something that you do at every single venue. Also keep in mind that the aux channels have their own anti-feedback per aux channel. So even though your master channels have anti-feedback enabled, your aux channels will not have that set up just from the master output. Now let's talk about the auxiliary channels. Every auxiliary channel has access to every input, the full mix. Every auxiliary channel also has its own independent master volume. Here are some scenarios and how I configure these aux channels to work for me. I use aux 1 on the TouchMix to send sound for videographers. I then turn my microphones and my DJ input up to 0 or unity, whatever you want to call it, and then I start turning the volume up on the master auxiliary channel. I do this in conjunction with the videographer, and I make sure that my levels are exactly where they're going to be during my performance. That way, the videographer can get a really strong input signal without having to worry about clipping. I also go the extra mile and ask if they want just microphones, just music, or music and microphones. Something I like to personally do. Not every videographer wants the music from your introductions, they just want the mic. So I like to give them the option. And since the auxiliary channels have every input available, you can easily do that. The next auxiliary channel is auxiliary 2, and I like to use that for a wireless satellite speaker if I'm in a room that needs it. Follow the same steps that you followed for aux 1 and raise your master volume for aux 2 up until your heart's content. You get to choose this one because it's your speaker. Next, I use auxiliary 3 as a DJ booth monitor output. Now, I only send music to the monitor because microphones tend to feed back with booth monitors because they're right next to you. There are two ways of doing this, and neither one is wrong. The first option is to just use your iPad to control the TouchMix to turn your booth monitor up and down, which works just fine. What I like to do, so I have control of my booth monitor from my DJ mixer, is run a cable from my DJ mixer to the TouchMix, set my volumes in the TouchMix to where they need to be, and that way I can control the booth volume using my mixer, so it's one less step when I have to make that adjustment. Like I said, both ways are fine, both ways will work. The second option is just the way I prefer to do it. Getting back to the touch screen, if you look at the top, you're gonna see all of the mixer groups. This is where you have access to all your faders. So your first group is going to be channels 1 through 8. Your second groups are going to be channels 9 through 12. There's also a group for auxiliary outputs. So if you have multiple auxiliaries running at one time, you can just go to that group and adjust the master output of each auxiliary independently without having to go back into the aux menus for each one. The next thing is optional, but if you find yourself needing to EQ your speakers for a room, we're going to talk about how to do that. So you're going to want to go to your main volume control setting. At the top of that settings menu, you're going to see two options for EQ, PEQ and GEQ. PEQ is your parametric EQ, which is less complicated and doesn't give you as much fine-tuning ability. The next option is the graphic EQ. Now the graphic EQ gives you a lot more control over the EQ of your system. You can actually tune individual frequencies using the graphic EQ. Another really cool feature with these EQs is you can turn on the built-in RTA. RTA stands for real-time analysis, and it'll show you exactly what frequencies and what level those frequencies are coming in at. So using the RTA, you can see if maybe a little too much bass is coming through and you need to pull it back, or maybe the song doesn't have enough highs. I personally like to shoot for a flat sound, but everybody's hearing is subjective, so configure it how you feel like you need to for the best sound for you. Also, keep in mind that EQing your main output does not EQ your auxiliary outputs. Each auxiliary output has its own parametric and graphic EQ. The next use of the auxiliary channels is more of a bonus than anything, and this is using your auxiliary channels to run subwoofers. Now, this takes a little more effort and a few more pieces of equipment, but it's going to give you complete sub volume control, and you can EQ them the way the manufacturer specified. To do so, you're going to need 4 XLR cables. 2 are going to go to your main left and right outs on the mixer. Those XLRs will now go to your top speakers. Then you're going to take 2 auxiliary channels, get your other 2 XLRs, and run each channel to each sub, assuming you're running 2 subwoofers with 2 tops, which you should be. Next, you're going to want to go to the main output, whether it's the parametric or graphic EQ, but you're going to want to EQ your tops to your manufacturer's recommendations. Manufacturers tell you in the instruction manual what frequencies your speakers are capable of hitting. So you want to go to the lowest frequency that it can possibly hit and mute everything before that. Next, you're going to do the same thing on each aux channel. You're going to go into the EQ, look at your owner's manual, see what your subwoofers are able to reproduce frequency-wise, and then kill every other frequency that your subwoofer can't reproduce. You are now actively crossing over your subwoofers, and you have independent volume control for each. And that is how you set up a QSC TouchMix 8 in a very basic way. This mixer can be really intimidating, but once you take the time to learn it, you're going to see that it is actually really awesome. I'm a firm believer that every single DJ should be using an external mixer of some sort. I don't care if it's analog or digital, you should be running your stuff through an external mixer. However, if you have a little bit of extra cheddar and it's in your budget, I would 100% recommend going with a digital mixer because they have things like built-in DSP and the ability to pretty much do whatever you want with it. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching. If you found anything valuable or informative in this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Also, leave me a comment. Do you use an external mixer? What type do you use and how do you like it? Again, I am Seth Velez, aka DJ Seth V from DJ Tech Tips. Thank you for watching, and we out!